This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News. News-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Stop the revolution! You can't 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 stop the revolution! You police! We don't get no justice because they don't know no justice. We don't get no peace because they don't know no peace. Yeah. We don't get no justice because they don't know no justice. We don't get no peace because they don't get no peace.
We all be is honored to have on true black liberation theologian extraordinaire, Brother Andre Johnson. He's representing down here, protesting for justice for Brother Darrius.
Yes.
How you doing today, sir?
Doing well, doing well. Good crowd out here today. People are energetic, people are excited, and people are not sitting back any longer, waiting and just hoping. They are trying to take matters in their own hands by out here on the streets protesting and letting their voices be heard.
Why now, you think? Why all this explosion now?
I do believe that it is a combination of things. We've been talking all day about Mike Brown, starting with Trayvon, even going back further than that, but Mike Brown definitely, Eric Gardner, Sandra Bland, and a host of others. Just these brutal deaths at the hands of police, and people are just recognizing and realizing for the first time, some of them, that they could be next.
Now, I know it's like, Dick Gregory always tell me when I interview him, the two strongest forces in America is the black woman and the black church. And it seems like the black church has been under attack from inside and also outside. So what's going on? Like, what do you think is the role of the black church right now in this moment?
Well, it's funny you should mention the black church. We just talking about Travis's. You know about Charleston, where 9 people were brutally murdered by a racist, a self-identified racist. So talking about the black church being under siege, but that's really, if you look at the history of the black church comes out of oppression, comes out of being under siege. So if any group of people know how to operate and how to find some sort of liberation, some sort of hope out of that mess, it is the black church. And the black church is represented out here today. And we got to start looking at the black church, I argue, as an expansive notion of the black church. What I mean by that is, it's no longer the institution, it's no longer the 4 walls, it's no longer the brick and mortar, but the called out people, the people who feel a call to serve, to come out and to witness and to lift their voices. I think this is a representation of the black church and the church as a whole as well.
Okay, that's cool. But do you look at the police force as being an occupied army in the black community right now?
I do believe that the police, you can make a strong case that a lot of police departments around this country see the black community and see African Americans as a whole as being people or groups or communities that need occupation. And that is a preconceived notion, as I mentioned earlier on the interview, of blackness. If I perceive blackness as troubled, menace to society, wicked, evil, vile, nasty, corrupt, suspect, I am going to act and govern myself accordingly. So it is no accident that police find, quote unquote, the most crimes in the most heavily policed areas. My suggestion would be, if you go out into a white community with all of the police and all of the resources that you place in the black community, you will find just as much crime. But if I already got a preconceived notion that blackness is a problem, that's where I'm gonna go.
And also, speaking of preconceived notions, like I look at the media. I want to ask you about the media coverage of Brother Darrius Stewart versus his killer, the cop, Colonel Schilling. You think the media has been fair in terms of accessing his character?
There is one thing that the media has done. They did do we do know about Officer Schilling's background, a little bit about the DUI. We know a little bit about his other allegations of just police brutality. So we know a little bit about that. So the media brought that out. But as a whole, this is the media narrative, though. And this is what I try to get some of the young protesters and some of the young folk, as well as some of the older folk, to understand that part of the media narrative is to focus on the person that was shot and killed, simply because if there was no reason for this brother, this young man, to be detained, let alone killed, if there was no reason at all, then that says something about the police. And if that says something about the police, what that also says is that the fabric of law and order is breaking down, and we just cannot have that. So to critique the police is to critique a larger structure, believing that the police are always right, always telling the truth, which we know already that that's not the case at all.
What do you think about this phenomenon with black people in particular tend to judge folks on their moral character?
Say it again now.
Like, what do you think about this phenomenon in the black community where black folks tend to judge folks?
Yeah.
Even though he a victim, he did something wrong,
right.
Like he had poor credit score, he owed on child support, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He stole a Snicker bar.
Right.
What do you think about it?
Well, that's sad.
The speech with Bill Cosby, in the back of a piece of pound.
And speaking of Bill Cosby, he's having his own issues and problems as we talk now. But that is a sad indictment on a belief. I'm gonna let to the motorcycle pass. Okay, it's a sad indictment on a belief that we have had really since African Americans have been in this country. This whole notion of, if I just act right, this respectability politic. If I can act right, do right, dress right, go to the right schools, do these right things, that everything somehow, some way will be all right. And we know instinctively that's not true either. And again, we mostly take the officer's account and the police account and the media's account of what happened. We still don't know what happened. So instead of taking their account, let's just assume that you have a young man in the driver's seat, not even driving, in the driver's seat. Why did the police officer think to even ask for his ID to begin with? Why was he suspect? And my argument is because blackness makes him suspect.
Well, you think it's kind of odd after that they reissue a juvenile warrant on June 30th, and then July 17th his brother's pulled over and he's now dead? What do you think about that? Is that conspiracy behind that, you think?
Well, I can see how people can come to that conclusion, and conspiracy theories in the African American community have been proven to be true. When everybody thinks it's a conspiracy, all of a sudden it becomes true. So I can understand that. I want to wait a little bit on that, because here's the thing. If Officer Schilling would have just given a warning or a ticket for the busted taillight, be careful, get that fixed, sir, and be on your way, we wouldn't be out here. You wouldn't be interviewing me. We wouldn't be in the street. We wouldn't be asking for the Justice Department to do what they are supposed to do.
But like, this is like the 28th, I guess, murder by police within 2 years. So what has the Justice Department going to do differently now than what they've done in the past?
We are hoping that, again, the pressure from the people, from people who knew Darrius, from people who loved him, from people who went to school with him, from people who just care about Memphis, people that care about justice and fairness in the city of Memphis. will come and lift their voices. And the people who are in power can actually call some of the people that are in power and say, hey, we really need to do the right thing in this case. And I think that this would be a change in the city of Memphis. We're always talking about moving forward, but we cannot move forward until we deal with the past and deal with the present now. And the present is a 19-year-old was shot on church grounds, not driving, not breaking any laws whatsoever. And we need to just address that. Until we do that, I think, you know, nothing would change.
That makes a lot of sense to me. And I also want to ask you as well about, I forgot. It's something to do with.
That's all right.
Yeah, but also I want to ask you about this. I mean, like I said, I spoke earlier with Brother Fisher about New Orleans coming up on the 10th anniversary of Katrina. And we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of what happened in Ferguson. And these are all plantation towns. And Memphis on the river town, it's a plantation town too. Right. And we're on the fault line and we got all this police issue with the community. What do you think is going to happen right now in Memphis? You think it's going to explode anytime soon?
I think it has that chance if information is not coming out in a timely fashion. That's what everybody is saying. You see the energy out here. You see the people. You see the people that were there for the balloon release. You see the people that were down at the church last week. So yes, because people are fed up. People are frustrated. They're frustrated with hashtags. They're frustrated with saying the same things over and over. Speaking of New Orleans, speaking of Ferguson, I hope to be in Ferguson and New Orleans to commemorate these monumental dates, because I think, again, the history needs to be shared with a younger generation so they would know not to repeat that, but to learn from it and to move forward. And I hope we can begin to do that. So to answer your question, yes, there's a possibility. And another thing, Memphis have always been this town that people say, well, you know, we have not had a major riot, we have not had this, that, and the other. And the reason probably has been is that Memphis has been not in tune as they might need it to be. Now with all the other stuff. Sandra Bland, we don't even know how Sandra Bland died.
Right.
So with Sandra Bland still in the news and that family grieving, in Texas, you got Darrius Stewart here in Memphis, Tennessee, and I think enough is enough.
Brother Andre, what's the best way to reach you, Dr. Johnson?
You can reach me on Facebook, but Twitter handle is A.E. Johnson, Ph.D., A.E. Johnson, Ph.D., and email. You can still reach me at ajohnsonmemphisseminary.edu.
Thank you so much, Brother Johnson. The words are great together. We love you, manly. Keep on producing and pushing.
You keep on doing what you're doing, man. You're a critical voice in this movement and all that we're trying to do. You keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
All right.